3, 2, 1. Today's podcast is presented by PODGO. PODGO is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from PODGO. We recently joined as a member and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. Don't forget to add the 2-on-1 podcast in the How Did You Hear About PODGO section of your application. Now get ready for the rest of the episode. Daniel, did you know Cody Ceci is going to hit free agency, but he might come back to the Leafs?
Wow. I'm excited to see that.
That's just depressing news on my end.
Is that the most
because
exciting
he lives
news
rent-free
today?
in my head. Cody Ceci lives rent-free in my head. That's all I'm saying. Mike, if
you
you're
won't
listening,
regret that tweet.
Mike,
I
if
know
you're
someone
listening,
mentioned that. I don't know who mentioned that.
Yeah,
though.
it was Mike.
Was it Mike?
Mike keeps telling me. I don't know. Whatever.
Or was it the third face on this call?
Oh,
Yo, friendly reminder that the Cup got awarded since the last show, and we're already talking about the Leafs to start.
No.
Wow.
It was
we
just
didn't
a
mention
quick- that's
Evan
the-
Rodriguez.
I'm pretty sure that's the only Leafs thing I actually have to bring
How's
up.
that qualifying offer going?
Stop.
Jesus Christ.
But no, if you're watching, you would have seen it at the beginning. If you're listening, you have now heard his new voice. Adam is back partially.
He's more man than machine now.
I'm $1 million man. I have so much stuff in my mouth. It's not really new voice. It's just a more kind of clamped down version. I can't do the whole show today, but it's more of a test. I'm going to try and come back full time for this Sunday, and especially for the draft and that, because that's such an important show. But yeah, there's still swelling in my mouth. I do have looser bands, but it's still like I still can't chew anything. It's pretty brutal. But I'm back.
We're happy regardless.
Yeah. Have you started eating pancakes? Because I know that was coming.
See, the problem is so I got my looser bands yesterday.
Yeah.
And before that, I could barely open my mouth an inch, so I couldn't get the pancakes in my mouth if I wanted to. When I get back to Montreal tomorrow, I will definitely be eating pancakes and crepes.
Beautiful.
Or I tried to cook crepes, but I couldn't, so it's more just. And even when I eat, again, I can't chew. So if I have a crepe with cheese on it, it's more you rip off a part, you try to flatten it out, and you just kind of slid it in like when you're putting a disc into a drive. It's it's been kind of rough. I haven't chewed anything since September 10th.
Wow.
And it's October tomorrow. It's rough, guys. It's rough.
Yeah.
Wow.
In a future day, maybe on the show I'll say more because it's a bit hard to talk now, but it's. Happy to be back. Back.
Well, we're happy you're back.
We are happy. I'm pretty excited. I don't know. If you see this on the YouTube, you could see all of our smiles.
Yeah.
And mine very, very swollen.
Yeah, I guess Adam brought it up. Since the last time we recorded, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions.
Woo!
Victor Hedman.
Yeah. Victor
Conn
Hedman,
Smythe.
obviously Conn Smythe, so I'm going to let Adam go with the Victor Hedman is the best talk. Adam, tell us.
Yeah, he is just against the Blue Jackets last year was really proof of just how important Victor Hedman was. And it was example here. 10 goals, being right at the top of goal scoring. I think Joe Pavelski may have overtaken him right in the end, but what he was doing as a defenseman, he never had one steal partner. He was either Ruta, Bogosian. It was a revolving door of partners for him. He played with everyone. He was elite. I know people were saying Braden Point got robbed, but there was a reason since before I got my surgery, I've been on Victor Hedman's bandwagon. He's the best defenseman in the league. He's a top 5 player in this game. And I was so happy he got the Conn Smythe. I think it was totally deserved. But again, Tampa had 4 guys who could win it. And you'd probably be okay with it.
Yeah, that's true. Who literally anyone could have won it.
Blake Coleman, my pick.
Not Blake Coleman. There was 4 players at the end of the day, right? Vasilevsky, Kuch, Point, and Hedman were the 4 guys who could have won it. And I think I picked Braden Point, and I was pretty set on Braden Point for most of the playoffs. I feel like if he didn't get injured or if he wasn't out those few games, we would be having a different talk. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think this is the last cup this team is going to win.
No. Also, Andre Palat. Sorry, Daniel. I think Andre Palat was also kind of a black sheep pick. He so many great goals. That guy was huge for Tampa too.
Am I gonna have to remind you guys to stop interrupting each other? Okay,
yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Sorry,
we're not used to it. Sorry, we're too excited to like converse with each other.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Daniel. Let's just keep praising.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't know what I was talking about. Like the Lightning, I think that arguably they have everything kind of set up to what you said. Like this won't be their last one. I think the way they've drafted, especially what they've been able to do with the late round picks and the way they've been able to really deal with the cap, that they have more potential than what we saw with the Blackhawks. I think there's a generational talent there, and then things what we've said, like the way they've been able to kind of hit with those picks in the later rounds. I think that shows like a testament to the development and the patience they kind of have with this team. Like we don't hear now where, okay, yeah, they have to kind of deal with the cap, but we don't hear anything of rumblings of a fire sale going on.
But how are they different? Because I look at this team and I think, okay, there's a group that they're going to have to resign Sergachev and Sorelli, and obviously that's not going to be cheap. And I look, okay, they're going to have to trade. For me, there's a group of four players: Palat, Johnson, Killorn, and I guess Yanni Gourde. I believe is that the guy I'm missing? Yeah, Yanni Gourde. At least one, if not two, of those guys are going to have to go. And I feel like Chicago went through the same thing, trading Byfuglien, trading Ladd. So what's the difference then between those two teams? Like, is it in terms of actual talent around?
I think it's talent sustainability, because what I saw what they did with the first round picks was they got like Barclay Goodrow and they got like someone like Blake Coleman, that they addressed certain needs, but at the same time what they got was term. Yeah, term, and in terms of like these players in their prime. Like when I look back on the Blackhawks where, they had the Taves, they had Kane, they had Keith, they had Seabrook, but what they kind of did at drafts, and this really did hurt them, was they traded high picks for guys that did help them win, but they were all rentals, like Anton Vermette, Kimmo Timonen. When they reacquired Andrew Ladd, I don't know why they did that.
You know what else is a little different is Chicago didn't win after they had finally paid Kane and Taves. Meanwhile, Hedman got his deal. Stamkos, Vasilevsky's extensions right around there. And they're still, Kucherov as well just got his deal, and they still managed to win. And like you're saying, those guys, the cheaper guys, Coleman and Goudreau, with that additional year, is huge. It's absolutely huge for them. And can we just, before we keep going cap stuff, can we just mention how awesome it is to see Steven Stamkos as the Stanley Cup champion?
I was so happy.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I don't know why. It's a weird thing. Maybe because I jumped on that hype train back a few years ago on Steven Stamkos when there was like Stamkos to Toronto, back when I was like a fanboy, not an actual like
we're not fanboys anymore.
Not a smart ass hockey fan. Okay, because I know everything.
Okay, Mike.
I'm just throwing jabs this episode. I really hope he listens. No, but like I think maybe because he's also from Markham, that's predominantly where I've grown up as well. It's just, I think and I hate saying this, if he wasn't injured, like if he didn't have an injury-ridden career, I think we're having a very different discussion of Steven Stamkos and his goal scoring.
I agree, yeah.
And to see him lift the cup after injury after injury after injury, it's like a sense of like, like he finally got what he deserved. And I couldn't be more happy for that guy.
Mm-hmm. He's such a great looking guy.
Yeah.
Loves his ketchup chips.
Does he actually love ketchup chips? I'm still
does.
don't know
Apparently,
about this.
apparently he does.
I know I've been just on about this in the group chat. There
Yeah.
was a roundtable video out there. I forget who he was on this video with. And I swear to God, Steven Stamkos loves ketchup chips.
I believe you.
Yeah, and he can't get them because they're not in the States, right? So if
Yeah,
you
only if you-
listeners,
Yeah.
if you meet Steven Stamkos or you know you're going to meet him, get him some ketchup chips.
But post-COVID, don't go to Florida yet.
Yeah, of course. And get some sanitizer and just go over the bag before you give it to him. Leave it
Each
like
chip.
It's a
no.
No, not
Don't
each
do
chip. Come on. We're not feeding people hand sanitizer. We know that's not what you're supposed to do.
Wasn't it bleach? Apparently, I don't know.
I don't know. Let's not get into it.
Let's not talk politics.
We're gonna get angry. Adam's gonna start yelling, and then that's not worth it.
No. I don't want another nosebleed.
Is that what happens when you yell?
Oh, again, when I can, I'll if we want in a later episode, I will tell you everything. It's not for the faint of heart.
No,
but it was bad.
Okay.
It'd be the 2-1 podcast after dark.
Let me tell you about nosebleeds and just blood and broken jaws. It is
the uncut,
terrible.
the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay has, and I brought it up before, has quite a bit of work to do. And I don't think Julian Brisebois is going to have a single day off for, a while. Like, that guy's got major work to do. What do you think the Tampa Bay Lightning do? Because we look at the moves they made at the deadline, Gaudreau and Coleman, those guys are signed into next year. And I really think, especially in Coleman, is a very – I don't want to say he's underrated because, maybe he is, but, like, that guy is a top 6 guy. Now, that you're filling out another spot. Anthony Cirelli is a top 6 guy. So you got to move some pieces. And so what do you think is next for this team?
I keep thinking Tyler Johnson is gone. I think that was always been the one guy we've been talking about where he has been great for teams in the past of these Lightning iterations. But for his cap hit, and, it's kind of a repetitive thing where the smallish guy that, he could play a good 2-way game, but he's just way too much for being in that bottom 6. I think when you look at it, I think Yanni Gort stays. Tyler Johnson's gone. Alex Killorn, I know he plays a really good game for them, but it's just another excessive thing that they're going to have to kind of cut ties with if they want to move forward with like a lot of the youth that just keeps on getting better.
Yeah. Adam?
A big talking point has really been when you talk about trading these guys is Palat, Gordon, Johnson. I almost said Johnson, wrong team. They all have no trade clauses, and then Killorn has the modified one. And apparently, I believe it was Dreger on Insider Trading said that they would prefer to stay. And man, is that not just the worst when you get in the situation of all these guys have trade protection and how many of them actually want to go? So, just based on this, it looks like Killorn is the easiest to move. And I would agree that Tyler Johnson would probably want to go because he can play center. He's a fantastic centerman. He could. This is credit to Alex because I'm going to beat you to the punch here because I know you would mention this. Wouldn't like a team like the Rangers just love Tyler Johnson? And
I've started. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if I'm Tampa, if I have to keep 2 of them, man, do I love what Yanni Gordon did in the playoffs. And again, I was just talking. I think Tyler Palat was just the dark sheep. Was it the dark sheep, the black sheep? Sorry. And it was so underrated in those playoffs.
But I mean,
mustache.
Again, yeah.
What? Yeah.
In that mustache.
That's why I'm trying to grow one now. But yeah, that's my little take on it. It's probably Killorn and Tyler Johnson.
Listen, all I'm saying is I've started rumors on this show. I said Tyler Johnson. I've sent him to 3 teams already: New York, Minnesota, and Winnipeg. All teams looking for second line centers here. Mm-hmm. I think I agree. I agree with both of you. Like, I think Alex Killorn and Tyler Johnson are the guys you can move. I think what we saw in Andre Palat and Yanni Gord in the postseason was really was a really positive sign for them. I think what they can get cheaper options for what Tyler Johnson will end up doing next year, which unfortunately I think that might end up being a third line center or even a second line winger. And Alex Killorn, and I'm not into like wherever he slots in the lineup, like a middle six guy. I do think you can find cheaper options, whether that's free agency or whether that's through trade. I just think the salary they're making and the moves they have to make, they're kind of the outliers here. I want to pose this question to you, and I'm stealing it from Hockey Central. What are the chances that both, like one of Cirelli or Sergachev get offer sheeted?
Oh,
15%.
I'll use the example that I think it was Jeff Merrick brought up, that Steve Yzerman is going to offer sheet Mikhail Sergachev.
Wouldn't that be really funny though?
Yeah, that'd be funny.
It would be very.
Or Montreal offer sheets him.
No, they're gonna do Svechnikov. Is the new thing I've seen. Man, could you imagine? Could you imagine if Montreal did it? They won't, obviously. But could you imagine Montreal's like, "Yo, Sergachev, come back, bud."
That'd be funny.
That'd be
Man, I mean, like, think about it. If Julian Breezeball has any sort of priorities here, and the man is not stupid, there's a reason he was the man to replace Steve Yzerman. I don't think he's going to let that happen. Or if it does, I think you match it no matter, like, because you look at Tampa's right side, it's a bunch of scrubs. I mean, Jan Ruta, how the hell was he playing on the top pairing? That's not real. He's not a real person. He sounds like there's like an elephant dungeon boss in the Legend of Zelda game. It's called like Va Ruta. Jan Ruta's not real. He's named after a video game dungeon. You know, it's just
yeah.
It's sorry.
No.
Their left side is their strength, and that's McDonough, another former Hab. Sorry, Hedman and Sergachev, and again, you don't let a guy finishing top 5 in Selke voting go either. So, I think.
Right.
If it happens, Tampa find a way to match it.
Yeah.
I forgot one name, though.
What?
On the right side.
Oh.
Eric Chernak.
Oh, that's definitely not who I was thinking.
No, I like the guy. Like, they got...
No, I do think...
They traded Ben Bishop for him.
No, you're right. I do think he's a useful NHL player. I'm not going to...
Still pretty young.
I'm not going to say that he's not. But at the moment, I just think he's a bottom pairing guy at the moment. Like, I don't know.
It's not Sergachev.
No, he's not Sergachev.
No.
Like, I don't think if I'm Julian Breezeball, right? Because I believe Eric Cernak's also an RFA. He's not my main priority. My main priority is Sergachev, Cirelli, trading a couple guys, and then Eric Cernak.
We forgot one name on the right side.
Zach Bogosian. I know.
No.
That guy's going to be a Leaf.
Luke Schenn.
Oh.
Stanley Cup champion Luke Schenn.
Daniel brought it up, not me.
Was I supposed to bring it up?
You fellows on Twitter after the Tampa won. I think Daniel was the first one I saw say, "Yo, what about Luke Schenn?" And I think
honestly,
I tweeted at you, Daniel. It's funny you never responded. I'm like, Daniel, can you not right now with the
I don't even think I said anything about
I had to do it. I doubled down on Instagram too with that. But
I'll double check. I don't think
from a fan perspective, like 2008 was like a big year for me with hockey. That when the Leafs got Luke Schenn, I knew no matter what, that guy was going to be a favorite of mine.
2008, eh?
Yeah.
Alex, what were you doing in 2008?
I don't know.
You would have been 8. I would have been 9.
I would have been 8, yeah. I was probably doing not a whole lot.
I would have been like grade 7.
I was raising my young family.
Stop it. I did not tweet anything about Luke Schenn.
Sorry,
what I did tweet was hashtag BOGO for Conn Smythe.
You did have a funny tweet that it sucks it didn't blow up about after the debate last night about.
I'm so upset.
Well, okay, debate's done. Back to the league. Yeah.
I had some killer tweets last night, okay? I think the one I sent Adam beforehand. I'm not a Trump or Biden supporter, and to be clear, this goes for both parties. This isn't a debate. This is a poorly produced podcast.
That was like our that was the lost episode me and you recorded in my residence that no one will ever hear.
I think the Leafs just got eliminated. I swore in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just I have it still. It's a voice memo on my phone.
It's a beautiful episode. There. Speaking of, it is International Podcast Day.
Is it?
Yeah. I was saying happy birthday, guys. Happy podcast day.
It's pretty cool.
By the way, next Thursday is also someone's birthday.
Is it Adam's birthday?
Maybe.
Are you going to be back? Yeah, you will be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, I guess we should get back to what's important. The Stanley Cup Final.
Our friendship?
Our friendship, too.
Okay.
Is there anything else you guys want to say about the Tampa Bay Lightning? I think Daniel and I have said lots about the Tampa Bay Lightning, so I'll let Adam go.
There was a tweet I had, and I'm just gonna try to remember it off the top of my head. 2014, before Tampa were really on the up and up, but they still had guys like Johnson and Stamkos. They get swept by the Habs in the first round. Year afterwards, you really start seeing what this team would become. They lose in the finals, where everyone gets hurt. Bishop's groin was in 6 pieces. Tyler Johnson's wrist was decimated. Stamkos didn't get there to the finals. I don't remember what injury it was. Unfortunately, he's had so many. Then in the years afterwards, 2017, what happens? They miss the playoffs because of all the injury problems. But then 2018, they make it to the conference finals, choke in games 6 and 7 to the Caps, who would go on to win the cup. 60-win season, lose and completely get embarrassed by the Blue Jackets. They come back, the most difficult to win cup ever.
Yeah.
And just the mental fortitude that team has, along with all of its talent, and the fact that Julien Brisebois adapted to the loss they had and really made that team more complete. They say that the best team in hockey rarely wins the Stanley Cup, but I feel like we finally saw the Tampa team that has been the best in the league for the past few years finally get over the hump, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, just no weaknesses anywhere, I felt.
No.
Let's move on to the losers. The
Speaking of Corey Perry,
I just wanted to see how you guys.
I know you were gonna say that. Yeah.
I just wanted to see how you guys would react to that. The Dallas Stars obviously are the losers of the Stanley Cup Final.
But there's a silver lining there.
What is possibly the silver lining?
The 2007 Stanley Cup is still the most important to Corey Perry.
I felt bad for him because his wife was there, and I can only imagine just how they kept cutting to her.
Yeah,
and she looked stressed. I know we rip on them.
We,
sorry,
mainly you,
mainly me, my inaudible mumbles. But congratulations to them. Yeah, they lost, but they made it farther than any other team except Tampa.
If I told you Dallas was going to be the team to come out of the West in October of 2019, would you have believed me?
No. I had Vancouver over them, even at that time. I did.
That's crazy.
The Canucks reminded me of a young Blue Jays team.
Oh,
that is playing right now.
Speaking of,
they just got murdered by Tampa Bay.
They are still getting murdered right now. The game is still going on.
Still going on. It's still going on.
It's at the bottom of the 8th. It is 8-2.
Leave them alone, Tampa Bay. God. Yeah. They've outperformed. They've outdone themselves. I don't think Daniel and I have talked about before, the issue they had throughout the entire year, which was the lack of scoring, they seem to have figured out after the round robin. If you figure it out, you figure it out.
Just not from their star guys.
Just not from one of their star guys.
Their star guys.
No, I think it was Brandon Radulov.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You're just going to completely pass what Daniel said about the stars guys.
Oh,
His little pun.
sorry,
You know
that
what?
flew over my head there.
It's
All
okay.
right.
It's not as good as Braden Point.
Like,
No.
yeah.
Well, that's the point.
Do you get it? Because his name's Point. I
Mm.
could not stop re-listening to that clip. It was just the stupidest joke I've ever made. But like, it is like I was ripping Sagan nonstop. Like I was giving it to him. At least he played well. And he some of those Corey Perry goals were a result of Tyler Sagan doing all the work. But man, Jamie Benn and his press conference was heartbreaking when he couldn't say anything. Man, the guy could not hit the net for a mile. And Radulov, invisible. And the guy was having so many penalty troubles in this round as well. And again, you can't rely on Joe Pavelski and Corey Perry in the twilight of their career to win the Stanley Cup. And again, It's also very hard to win if you don't shoot the puck.
That is true.
Yeah, those shots.
Yeah, that's
was
a
it
great point.
8 shots after the second period?
Yeah.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely disappointing on Dallas's part. And listen, and Daniel and I had this discussion Wednesday or Sunday. If Dallas beat Tampa on Monday night, there was definitely an argument to be made that Dallas was going to win the Stanley Cup because they have all the momentum. Tampa's now would have lost 2 or 3 games in a row. Now it's practically a flip of a coin.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh great. Sorry, go on, Daniel.
No, I just have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
If Dallas pushed it to Game 7, but they still lose to the Lightning, would we see someone from the losing team win the Conn Smythe? No?
No.
What is the standard now for a player on the losing team to win the Conn Smythe?
Alex, I know what he's doing.
What?
I know what he's doing.
I know exactly what he's doing.
What?
I don't think listen, because we've talked about it. I don't think we necessarily recorded. It was being recorded, but Daniel was trying to make the argument to me that Anton Khudobin should win the Conn Smythe no matter what. But the issue I have with it is that you have Hedman. Let's just stick with the top 2 guys in Hedman and Point. I'd pick those guys over Anton Khudobin. I think with J.S. Jaguar, and I know that's the one.
I wasn't going to mention that, but yeah.
I think that's the one.
If we're going to go on this, yeah.
I think that's the one. Listen, you don't have to say it. I just know that's the one you're comparing it to because when you said it, that's the first name that came to my mind. The thing with that one is that he was literally so good. Yes, Anton Khudobin was very good. But I just think Jaguar was literally another level.
This really warms my heart, by the way. That you guys, I didn't even have to mention it, and you had to say it. You said it. Thank you.
Plus, Khudobin's stats in a loss were really bad. I think his save percentage was under 900.
Yeah, I believe Jake Ottinger came in Game 2, right?
Yeah. And if you think about it here, you're mentioning the top guys there. I've just quickly brought up the scoring for Tampa Bay in these playoffs. Trying to say, sorry, Daniel, but saying Khudobin over these guys, if I read you these numbers, with his stats the way they were, is there any way you give this guy the Conn Smythe over any of these 3 players I will mention to you? Palat, 11 goals in 25 games, 18 points. Hedman as a defenseman, 22 points, 10 goals in 25 games played. Braden Point, 33 points in 24 games played. How many overtime goals, by the way? Or Nikita Kucherov, 34 points in 25 games played. Kucherov was he was approaching I think it's Gretzky's record is 40 points in the playoffs or something like that. That's where he was starting to go. Good. Victor Hedman was going playoff goal scoring defenseman records as well. I think he was 2 off the record of 12. It's a good question to ask there, but no, Khudobin was. He almost felt like he ran out of a bit of gas when the finals came around.
Got tired.
I agree. Before we move off of the Stanley Cup final, I just want to touch on what's next for this team because I think the Dallas Stars are in a very different situation than the Tampa Bay Lightning. we look at who they have, like they have Rupe Hintz and Radek Faksa are practically their biggest, their most important signings, and then obviously and Anton Hudobin. Like I don't want to take Anton Hudobin out of it. Did Anton Hudobin price himself out of Dallas?
Yes.
That was a quick yes from Daniel.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Sure, I went quiet because I didn't know if you were going to keep going there, Daniel.
Oh, so my apologies. I should have.
No,
No,
go.
Me or Adam?
Yes, you. I want to hear why.
I think he's proven more than enough that he's kind of shown in his career what he can do when he's given the playing time. Like we saw that in Boston, we saw that in Minnesota for a lot of stretches. That this is a guy that, you know, maybe he's not going to be your 66 game kind of guy, but he's kind of someone that I think for where he is in his career, like it reminds me of a Thomas Vokoun, who also like, you know, going in his 30s, he was a guy that became reliable for those Penguins teams, that he knew he wasn't the starter. He was kind of like a 1B, but he was someone that you relied on. I remember when Fleury was kind of having those struggles in 2013, 2014, like Vokoun came in and it was like a seamless transition. And it's kind of the same thing I'm seeing now with, you know, Ben Bishop, who's on the shelf, and Hudobin, who just came in and, you know, gave this team a chance.
Right. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the guys who are coming off into free agency who are goalies, right? I mean, has anyone really made more of a statement than Anton Khudobin? I mean, Markstrom got hurt. He'd probably be one of the bigger names in that. Robin Leonard we're pretty sure he's going to stay in Vegas. So I'm just thinking even guys like Thomas Greiss was going back and forth with Varlamov. I don't exactly know how they played when they were eliminated because I was right after my surgery. So I missed like that entire round. But yeah, has he outshined himself? Yes. The biggest free agent, they also have Dennis Gurianov. But then again, like I don't know how much they value him because Rick Bowness never plays the guy. But I wonder if he gets opportunities. Hey, I mean, hey. So it's going to be interesting because I think if Vancouver can work something out with Markstrom, and again Leonard does sign in Vegas, I think somebody could give Khudobin a very, very nice payday, and boy, has he earned it. I
want to run this idea by you, and I'm stealing it from Daniel. Because I really like this idea, and it's I didn't name Hudobin as the guy, but I did suggest it once before, and I was completely shot down. We're assuming Markstrom does not resign. Obviously, in this scenario, Markstrom does not resign in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Thatcher so we know Anton Hudobin can be a 1B, and we'll see if Vancouver trusts Thatcher Demko to be a 1A. Anton Hudobin signs in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
My only issue with that would be in this world, we're probably going to get like the top 1% are excluded from this, but contracts may be like you're going to kind of be careful with term and number, right? And I look at Khudobin and I'm like, man, he's 34.
Yeah.
So you go a shorter term, but then after the performance, well, guess what? The way contract works is you can kind of lower the AAV if you have a longer term. And if I'm Khudobin and if I'm going to get a shorter term deal, I'm going to try and ask up the asking price. Right. I think the last thing Vancouver need right now is to make a mistake with a big contract with a gentleman over the age of 30. Because, hello, I just want to say this now because I don't know if I'm going to still be on the episode by then. I love asking more, like the Canucks wanted more from Virtanen. And we talked about my last episode about like Eriksson and the other guy, Beagle and Roussel had like 7 points. And then you're like, man, whatever with Virtanen. But I just I don't see a match made there with the Vancouver Canucks and Khudobin, to be honest. Maybe Colorado.
That's true. We will see October 9th, or we'll see before if he resigns with Dallas. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the Stanley Cup final before we move on?
It was fun. I had fun.
It was fun.
Good job to the NHL and everyone involved.
Yeah.
They really do deserve a round of applause. And
Yeah.
to the players who left their families to do this, kudos that you had the heart to really, especially these guys who have been there for, what was it, 65 days? Lots of.
If you told me back in March that we'd finish the Cup in October or just before October, I wouldn't have believed you. Probably because the world felt like it was ending and that October wouldn't exist.
We took it hard on the show. It was bad. It was.
You know what's funny? I kind of realized.
It was a lot of arguing.
It is almost a year, or it is about a year already. Remember when I was I was not a regular on the show? You guys had an episode said Daniel's back, and it was back for the regular season, and we are still in the same season. And look how much has changed on this show.
We have a new logo.
I know.
We have video.
We have sponsors.
Guests.
Yeah. That's true. Wow.
You guys you guys made an appearance on a Sabres podcast.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Well, we'll shout that out. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres, so we will most definitely talk about that. Okay, let's move on from the Stanley Cup Finals. Last episode, Daniel and I talked about Henrik Lundqvist most likely being bought out. They still hadn't made a decision, and now it is clear that Henrik Lundqvist has been officially bought out by the New York Rangers. He had 1 year left at $8.5 million against the cap. I'm going to pull up the Rangers cap friendly. I'm just going to name you how much they have against the cap in buyouts. Just give me a quick second here because it is a ridiculous amount of money.
It is, yeah.
So this is next year alone. It goes down after this. Brad Richards, but he doesn't have anything against the cap because that was a compliance buyout. Dan Girardi, the next 3 years at 1.11111111. I think that was enough ones. The Ryan Spooner contract, which I completely forgot, got bought out, $300,000. Henrik Lundqvist, 5.5 this year and 1.5 next year. Kevin Shattenkirk, $6 million this year and 1.4 for the next 2 years. If my math is correct, that is over $12 million.
God, I know we, and rightfully so, give a lot of credit to the job Jeff Gordon has done in rebuilding, but man, there is not maybe the Oilers, there's not another team that actually bothers with buyouts. You know, I was joking with you guys before the show. God, maybe you wouldn't have had to do this with Lundqvist if you didn't have the ridiculous Shattenkirk buyout.
I'm just curious. Who signed the Kevin Shattenkirk deal? It wasn't Jeff Gordon, was it?
I think it is. I think he's been there like forever, hasn't he?
Since 2015.
Oh yeah, then he would have done it.
Yeah,
that was like
that was him. That was after the because I remember he was on Washington because that was he went to the conference finals.
Got traded.
Yeah,
I remember.
Exposed.
I remember that.
It was the Leafs Caps, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Leafs Caps, but I remember it was the year I was in grade 12 and I needed a portfolio for Ryerson, and I actually wrote that was like I put it on a blog and I'm like I'm writing about the Kevin Shattenkirk trade. It was like the first one I think I wrote.
Mine was about is this the end of an elite Corey Perry? And I was wrong. It actually was. I'll send you the article. Like that's what I put in the portfolio.
I like it.
Yeah,
yes, you did.
Man, isn't this sad? This is heartbreaking.
This is heartbreaking.
The king is gone. Not the one from Memphis. The one from New York.
Who's the one from Memphis?
Elvis. Yeah.
Oh, Elvis. Okay.
Yeah, Elvis. Yeah.
Really showing your age there.
I know.
I
know. I was in high school when he first emerged.
Stop it.
No, you weren't.
Stop it.
No, you won't.
But what Daniel and I talked about it. I think we both agreed that it's obviously upsetting that this is how it's ending. So I'd like to hear from Adam.
Man, I don't care about Georgiev. Send him to the cleaners and just let Hank back up Georgiev. I mean, like
Shesterkin.
Sorry, yeah, Shesterkin. Like, you have to be cutthroat in sports. I get that. That kind of messed with the Blackhawks for a while. That like their loyalty to their guys kind of set that team back. You hope Tampa doesn't make that same mistake. But I mean, you got to make an exception for Lundqvist. I mean, like this, this is the winningest goalie in your franchise's history. He has dragged that mediocre team to so many playoff runs. I mean, 2014, he's the only reason they stood a chance. Stand a chance. They lost in 5 to the Kings. Not his fault. In 2017, I mean, the guy just completely made 50 saves against the Habs in one of the games in that series. And I mean, just like since he's gotten there, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Like that, this guy who is, and like I said I wouldn't say this on the show, but just I know what it's like to cheer for a team that is quite mediocre and have just like relied on this all-star goalie for years, and it's just it makes me feel so goddamn angry with the Rangers because again, if you didn't mess with that Shattenkirk stuff, the guy could stay.
I don't know about that though. I don't necessarily think that's the case because they don't want to run with the 3 goalie system, and I don't necessarily think that's beneficial for them either.
I mean, but just is Gordy ever?
He's proven in stretches he could be competent.
Like he's not a starter.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think he's a competent backup. Adam, I fully understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. The only thing that I disagree with is that if they didn't mess with Shattenkirk, that they would have kept him. I don't necessarily think that's true because. Listen, and I know it's only $3 million. Like they only saved $3 million. Like what? Like I
mean, with everything going on now, I don't. I'm like, $3 million
but
can help you.
They own the Rangers are owned by they're owned by MSG or
they play in the Garden. Like I think they're the team that's worth the most amount of money.
In the league,
are they?
The Leafs make the most, but I think the Rangers are valued at the top.
I thought you meant New York. I'm like, I think the Knicks are more.
No.
Okay.
And I mean, but it helps that you're in the Garden and it's New York City. But,
yeah. No, I do think I think this was inevitable because I don't think you're trading Lundqvist. Like who, even at 50% retained, that would take you just over $4 million, 4.25. I don't think anyone's taking that deal. Not in this economy.
Had said whatever and not done Jake Allen and just be like, hey, Henrik.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a terrible idea because he's like 38. But
it would have been the oldest goalie tandem in the league.
I would have taken it though. I would have taken it.
Yeah.
It's like those are just 2 good looking dudes that are great. They're both like Lundqvist is such a good person. That's the reason he's been up for like the Foundation Community Service Awards every year. And again, like you never name a goalie captain. And I mean, like Lundqvist is known for being like a sad puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But man, like you want to talk about a heart and soul leader? I think it's Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah.
And you guys know me. I have a soft spot. If there is a secret goalie union, I would very much like to be part of it. Because I love goalies.
We'll create it.
No, it already exists, Daniel.
I love goalies.
Daniel, I want you to float your idea or ideas, or it's more than one, to Adam. I tweeted it out today.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay.
I'll get to it.
We know why. I want you to float those ideas to Adam.
All right. Scenario A. Lundqvist goes to the Pittsburgh Penguins after Matt Murray is traded. He becomes the 1B for Tristan Jarry. Thoughts?
I don't hate it. Okay.
You don't hate it? He wants to win.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel bad because he went from guys like Dan Girardi to Jack Johnson and
Mike Matheson.
Well, you're gonna
and they just brought in Mike Matheson. So it's like
they still have John Marino, Chris Letang.
Yeah, except he gets to have some star power in front of him instead of like Kreider and like Derek Brassard back in the day. I think that'd be good. Jarry could learn a lot too.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I think after the buyout, like he's still getting that money. He's still gonna what? He could sign for what 1.5 or 2 million.
He's made his money.
He
Yeah.
has. He wants to win.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario B, and let me know if this is better than scenario A. He goes to the Canucks.
Because you know what? You know what I don't want? I don't want the Canucks media and the fan base to ever give Henrik Lundqvist a bad time. I think it'd be good for Demko. But I just don't think I don't think the city, the fan base, the ownership of the fans deserve him.
No?
No. So I would go, and I think it would be better for Lundqvist because I would bet on Sidney Crosby more than I would right now with the Canucks.
Daniel, didn't you also float Vegas out there after they trademark Andre Fleury?
I didn't say
Oh,
that.
you didn't? Then I heard it some.
I thought you were baiting me with the Fleury trades.
Maybe I read it something. No, maybe I read it somewhere else. I just remember he took. I don't know. Maybe it was in my sleep. I came up with it myself.
Well,
that's another option, I think.
He has back to business, slick back hair, kind of looks.
Yeah,
it works.
Two Swedes, if him and Leonard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Vegas are good. I do hope though, because you know how Vegas are super cocky, and apparently they really yell at you on the thing and call you losers and that.
Yeah.
I just also hope, I hope Lundqvist can bring some class. And I didn't see any direct pictures because I just dropped stuff. Sorry, because the Rangers were gone so quickly. But Lundqvist would bring the class of his nice suits and just how good looking he is. So him in Vegas, I think that would work. I think that would work.
It'd be interesting. You put an idea out there on Twitter as well. I believe it was Calgary when they're going to overpay him. Hey, they're too busy overpaying Alex Pietrangelo and Braden Holtby.
I think Anton Khudobin would be better for Calgary. He's already known how to play in front of, with a team in front of him that can't score. So why not go to Calgary?
He saw what happened to him. He knows how to help him.
That's true.
Right. Guys, I do think I'm going to go now.
Okay.
The jaw is hurting a little bit, so they have to. Plus, again, I'm going back to Montreal tomorrow, so it'll be.
Rest well.
Thank you for coming on for almost an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was
really fun. I think it was a little less because we were talking a bit before.
That is true. That is true.
Again, I might also be on. Sorry.
We'll do more of this. We'll work up to the 3-hour episodes. Don't worry.
No.
The 6-hour episodes.
The 6-hour.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. I was trying to listen to the show. Obviously, the first few after I left, I couldn't because it's I'm still on liquid morphine for the pain. But I would see 2 hours, an hour 15. I'm like, damn, we worked so hard to get the runtime down.
I know it's really difficult, especially with my son.
On Sunday, I'll probably do a little bit again.
Okay.
But I really for the draft and free agency, I will try my best.
Okay.
To come back, but thank you for having me again. I will be back as soon as possible. Goodbye, listeners.
Sounds good.
Bye.
I love you all. And enjoy the rest of the show. The lads are good. So
sometimes. Bye. See you, Adam.
Okay. I didn't mention it to Adam, but we're gonna be on for the entire draft. Rounds 2 to 7. We're gonna be talking.
What day is that? Was that a Wednesday?
Yes.
What time
Rounds
does it
2
start?
to 7. We're gonna analyze every pick. A solid guy. I think he dropped in the draft.
I literally think that. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking of doing if we could do a live episode for the round 1, but I think round 1's gonna be 3 hours.
It will be.
I don't know if we can do a 3-hour live episode. We'll talk about
the Leafs pick or something.
We'll talk about it.
But no, if you wanted a 6-hour episode, we got to do rounds 2 to 7.
I think I have class, so if we can if I can have one set of headphones in for class, and then another one the other year with the mic going, then I'll be able to do it.
All
Funny
right.
enough, it's reporting sports.
That's amazing. Well, he's still understand. Yeah,
it works. Let's move on. For some reason, TSN, and I brought the first tweet up earlier with Pierre LeBrun and Cody Ceci, just to mess with people.
Mm-hmm.
like Cody Cece's not coming back. Just say it. Don't tell me that they might revisit it. That doesn't
Hometown
make me
discount.
feel good. That doesn't. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Doesn't make me feel good. The second one, I'm gonna read the first and the last one because there are so many. There's multiple tweets in between, and we can just kind of go over that. This is from Bob McKenzie, the Bob Father, legendary insider.
Ryerson alumni.
Ryerson alumni. Yes, that is true. This is the first tweet of his thread. Imagine my surprise when I started making calls today and heard Jack Eichel trade rumors, including unverified chatter. He may at some point recently requested a trade out of Buffalo, and that the Rangers were amongst interested teams. This of course required further investigation. That just seems like great journalism right here. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just pointing that out there. The next few tweets were he's talked to his agent. I talked to some people in Buffalo. This is the last tweet. So the face value review appears as follows. Eichel doesn't want out of Buffalo. Buffalo doesn't want to trade Eichel. Move along. Nothing to see here. Fair enough. But some rumors are worth checking out / mentioning, which I've done. Now back to draft prep. Why would you do this? Bob McKenzie, why are you doing this to us?
Suspense novel. It's his new career.
I read the first tweet. I'm like, oh my God, this is about to get real. Like, Jack Eichel's about to be traded. The New York Rangers are interested. We're going to have to get Mike on the show. Probably going to have to get Will Christophoulos on the show because it's about to go down.
We start
Then
arguing. We're just the background, the two of us.
Yeah, exactly. Then I got to the last tweet of the thread, and it was literally, I'm like, why? Why would you do just put the last tweet in there?
And we wouldn't look at the whole thing.
I know that's what then I'm like, okay, we're not going to look at the whole thing.
Great.
So
you buried the lead.
To sum it up, Jack Eichel isn't going to be traded.
No.
Jack Eichel doesn't want out of Buffalo. That's pretty much the news. The reason I think it was important to bring it up because I think it's been a talking point that Jack Eichel wants a trade. Jack Eichel, but the Sabres want to trade Eichel. Blah blah blah. I brought this up more because I read something. I don't know if you read 31 Thoughts this afternoon. I pulled out a couple things I put in the doc, but there was one block and I took a screenshot of it from about this, and I thought it was the most bizarre reason for them to keep Jack Eichel. And it's from Friedman. The Sabres paid Eichel a $7.5 million bonus this season. 75% of his 2020-2021 salary is paid. It is absolutely senseless for them to make an Eichel trade for this reason. But if things don't get better, we are going to revisit this topic next spring. Can I be honest with you, Daniel?
Okay.
You know what's senseless about trading Jack Eichel? He's their franchise player. Not that he got paid $7.5 million. Listen, I love Elliot Friedman. I just massively disagree with that idea that the only reason you're not trading him is because of his salary structure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you think about this.
I kind of feel the same way too. The way I see it is the Sabres have already gone through this route countless times of, breaking it down and getting the picks. But, they got what they needed. Jack Eichel's, 22, 23?
Yeah.
How often do you hit on these type of picks? You didn't get the number 1 pick. I know he was second, but at the same time, you got the number 2 pick in one of the strongest drafts in NHL history, and you get a franchise guy. And the way I see it is, I'll be optimistic about it. The way the Sabres are kind of shaping up, they have the pieces to kind of, figure things out. It's not the same as it was when Jack Eichel first came into the league. Yeah.
The thing with this team, and I guess we'll shout it out now, both of us were on the Sabres Spot podcast with Austin Shannon. I'll put the link down in the description. And we were talking about this, and it feels like if you're trading Jack Eichel, do if you're trading Jack Eichel, you are committed to another rebuild.
Yeah.
Like Jack Eichel's the guy, and I brought this up when we recorded. Jack Eichel's the guy you build around. And I said, Dahlin, Sam Reinhart, and Jack Eichel, that is who you build around. And to trade Jack Eichel seems senseless.
Yeah. Because, again, I know that's how every trade kind of goes, but, you don't, you know what I mean? Like, you don't trade a guy who is at that age, who's already proven that he can carry this team of whatever this team is, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee you're going to get anything of value in return. Like, you're going to get picks, you're going to get these prospects that, maybe they have that upside, but they're clearly not at that level of Jack Eichel.
He's arguably the straight definition of the Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
That's what it remind me of?
What?
So in the NBA, when Philadelphia had the whole trust the process thing going on,
yeah,
I remember they would draft guys and then immediately flip them like the next year or two for even more first round picks. Like, I mean, eventually they got Joel Embiid, but I remember like there was just this cycle of these lottery picks they kept getting and then just kept trading them like over and over again.
Was it because I remember the day it happened? I happened to be actually, funny enough, I was at the Fan 590 studio. I was there behind the scenes watching primetime sports when it was still on. Did Philadelphia trade for the first round, for the first overall pick, or did they trade down?
So they traded for the first overall pick. They traded the pick that became Jason Tatum.
Oh my God.
For Markelle Fultz.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wonder if they hate that deal. Maybe they do. Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe. They traded Markelle Fultz already. So he's in Orlando now. So
yeah, that sucks. Sounds like what Edmonton is. Philadelphia Edmonton, the Edmonton Oilers, or am I just overestimating either of those teams? I don't know. I don't know basketball well enough to make that comparison.
I think so. Well, I mean, like, they don't have Joel Embiid's good, but he's not Connor McDavid-esque.
That's true.
We thought they were better, but this year they kind of clearly showed like they weren't. Like, they were stronger last year, Jimmy Butler, and I'm going off topic right now. But yeah, not as strong as this year. Not an Edmonton Oiler comparable. Oilers are like, they have the. Okay, don't tell. Well, I'm just gonna hear this, but it's like when Carey Price was winning the Vezina, 2015, and then 2016. It just kind of showed like they just happened to have the best goalie in the world.
Yeah. And they have the best player in the world. They have two top 10 players. Embarrassing. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
But which one's MVP of the team?
Connor McDavid. Not even a question. Get out of here. Slam dunk, Connor McDavid. Let's. Do you have anything else to say about Buffalo, or shall we move on?
I don't think we talked about it enough on Monday. We move on.
That is true. Frank Zaravelli put out an article talking about a hybrid bubble. Thinking so in the article he writes that the thinking is that each team would be able to approximately play 12 games per month, which is doable given that there's going to be no traveling between games other than flying in and out. But there is one big there's actually a couple sticking points here. Number one, the NHL will likely want to conclude before July 22nd, which is when their American TV right holder NBC flips to the 2021 Olympics. And so with that 12 games per month, starting, I believe, in January, that would allow for a shortened 48 or 60 game regular season in 4 or 5 months. The second sticking point is the bubble, especially with Canada. So in the article, it says at least one hybrid bubble would be located in Canada, and that comes with the border situation. We're probably not going to see an open border, despite Trump saying that Canada wants an open border. I don't think that's true.
Don't quote us.
Well,
Mm.
yeah, I'm not Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford or any of the other premiers or government officials. It just does not seem like that's the fact. But yeah, so we'll might even see an all Canadian bubble. What do you think about that?
I think it has worked. What we talked about before with the cases, they had zero, and the testing just was so effective for them. But the thing I see it too is what we saw what the Lightning said after the games, where after they won the cup, that like the emotional toll and physical toll that kind of this bubble had on them. I know it was for the cup, but that was what, a little under 3 months.
We started in the beginning of August. This is now the end of September. So 2 months playing, and then plus the couple weeks before of like the training camp.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the way I kind of see it too is just it's going to be insane to try to fill in a type of season like that into the bubble. And I think with the hybrid one, that I think eventually the MLB was able to kind of control the cases, and they were like to say like after the massive outbreaks of the Miami Marlins, they were effective in trying to curb and lower the numbers. But what I kind of find with the NHL now is that when they keep giving these sharp deadlines on this is when the season has to end, and this is what we kind of want to do, and it's just kind of the thing we talked about before, where it's just like you're moving the players like it's like an NHL game. It's not like you're kind of looking into the other factors of things, because like when you go back now into the Canadian bubble, and then there's the American bubble, and then there's the mix up of different players on different teams, and then they're going to be like, hey, what about our families? We haven't seen our families in so long, and it just creates another complicated situation.
Yeah, so I think the idea, and I'm just pulling this from the article as well, is that they're going to pick bubbles predominantly in the U.S. I don't think we're going to see many cities in the country in Canada at least do fans in the stands anytime soon, simply because like in Ontario and in Ontario and Quebec especially, cases are on the rise again. I believe they've had some issues on the west coast as well, Alberta, British Columbia. They want to have bubbles in cities where you're allowed to have some fans in the stands. And if that's, I'm fine. Okay, well, I'm iffy about that approach, but at that point, I don't necessarily think it makes sense to call it to do a bubble, because it defeats the purpose, right? You have people in the stadium, and I get they're not going to be right next to the players, but you're in an indoor space, and by all ideas that my understanding of this virus, it still spreads inside.
Yeah. So
don't call it a bubble. Just then see, as I say that, I found an issue in my reasoning. If we go to do it like the MLB, we're going to end up with 7 teams with no home stadium.
Yeah.
If the Canadian US border is not open, the Canadian teams are going to have to find stadiums or arenas to play in the US. I don't necessarily think that's going to be a massive issue. I think a lot that they can find arenas in some of the northern states, but then you end up like you're not playing any home games, which I feel like I look at a team like the Blue Jays they played I believe 64 regular season games.
60 games. Like 60, yeah.
60, and then half of them were still in, like, they played 0 home games because half of them were in Buffalo. And Buffalo's not their home stadium. Like, I feel bad for the guys. It's going to be interesting to see what the NHL does. I feel like this is just one idea. And I think you're right. And I want to pose this question to you, because as soon as you started talking about the MLB and them figuring out the cases, this question popped in my head. Do you think the NBA and the NHL have an advantage, not over the MLB, but the play with their players, because they've looked at, hey, if we follow protocol, there's a good chance there's a chance we can end up with 0 cases because the bubbles worked. As long as we follow proper protocol, we've heavily reduced the risk of contracting COVID-19. Do you think the NHL and the NBA have that advantage because those players have been in the bubble scenario already?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're already used to, the frequency of the testing, the mentality that kind of goes into it, and you know what I mean? Like, I think they just kind of know what to expect. I think what happened with the MLB is they wanted to do it their own way, and they had to make changes on the fly.
Right.
They didn't really have like a set plan the same way that the NBA and the NHL had, and we saw the consequences of it. Like, thank goodness that the curve was flattened with these teams and the staff, but it's kind of another headache that has to kind of be avoided if you want to continue playing like these important games. Like, what I kind of feel now is, like, don't fix what's not broken.
Right.
But
yeah,
it's same time
agree
to the
with that
hard
too.
deadline. The hard deadlines is just kind of something I have to kind of think about.
Yeah, I think the hard deadline's an issue. I think the bigger thing that's going to come out of this is the players, because I don't think the players are going to want to be in a consistent bubble, especially for 4 to 6 months, because we're talking even just a shortened season plus the playoffs, that's going to be 4 or 5 months. And I mean, we talked about the ESPN article. I think they were oversold on a few things. It's going to be tough to persuade them to do it again without properly advertising what they are getting into.
Yeah. That's like really something to that. It just, we don't, there's so many unknowns that I kind of feel that too, like expressing that to like, a huge population of players and saying, this is what's going to happen. You kind of had a taste of it before, and let's just see how the season goes. But like, once again, it's that toll that's going to happen. Like, it's just like, I remember they were talking about like, being cooped up in the hotels, eating the same food, seeing the same people, doing the same things over and over again until like, it just reached a point with the playoffs that, like, the way I see it too is like, it's going to be a bubble in the regular season, and there's going to be players that are going to be inching to want to leave. I remember the Lightning talked about it, and then suddenly it's, it's the playoffs now. Like, you went through a huge grind, now go through this other grind.
Yeah. Well, I think this isn't going to be the only conversation we have. I think this is going to be a developing story, and I think it's going to be not last minute in a bad way. I think, and rightly so, Gary Bettman and the owners and the board of governors and the players, it's going to be a tough decision, and we might not find out until like this time, a week before, just because like. And I've been thinking about this literally a month ago, or even let's go 2 months ago at least. We were hovering under 100 cases alone in Ontario. Today or a couple days ago, there were 700 in Ontario alone. Right, so think how quickly things can change over even a couple months, let alone a couple weeks. So I think this is definitely going to be a developing story. Let's get on. I feel like we have some juicy, and I keep saying this every episode, but we got some juicy tidbits to talk about here. We talked about Oliver Ekman-Larsson a couple weeks ago. I'm not like Dreger talked about insider trading yesterday or a couple of days ago. There's 2 teams, and we'll get to both of them. I'm going to start with this one. I'm not saying I called it, but I did. The Boston Bruins have seemed to put some interest in Oliver Ekman-Larsson. That is going to be interesting. We talked about last week or last episode that Jake DeBrusk could potentially be on the move depending on Taylor Hall and a couple other things. Man, OEL to the Bruins. That
That's
scares
insane.
me. That
It
scares
does.
me.
Like, just when we think they're on the brink
No.
of collapsing, this kind of happens. I remember when they didn't make the playoffs and everyone said they were done, and then there's a team that consistently competes for the finals.
It's ridiculous.
Patrice Bergeron's the Steve Nash of the NHL. He just keeps getting better with age.
That is a great comparison. Let me throw this other tweet. This is from Frank Saravelli. This is, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago. Sounds like there has indeed been significant interest in teams trading for Torrey Krug's rights. Obviously, we talked about it. RA from Spin Chicklets brought that up Sunday or Saturday night. My belief, and this is continued the quote, my belief is last offer from the Bruins to Krug's camp was 6 years, $6.5 million. I don't know about you. It just seems a tad low.
For me, I agree, but I think that's like a Bruins contract, right? It's like, hey, you want to win? You want to be part of this core? Then take the discount.
That's practically the same as I believe Brad Marchand signed a 6-year deal. I know David Pasternak signed a 6-year deal. I mean, we'll see what, like we talked about his trading rights being traded away as well.
I don't know.
I
don't know. He's a great player. It's just he fits the Bruins so well that I think he's going to excel in other teams. But yeah, it just in terms of like the money that's being offered to him, I think it's again like it's something that they expected him to take because there's other cases on the team where they did the same thing. These guys that they dedicated themselves to the team long term and they took well below their market value.
Right. And it's not necessarily that they're a cap-strapped team. They currently have $14.4 million in cap space. They have to re-sign Krug and DeBrusk are their big guys. Other than that, like David Krejci comes off the books next season. They'll probably re-sign that. I don't think he's going to make 7.25. Andre Kasha, Nick Ritchie, and Brandon Carlo are your big biggish UFA guy, RFA guys, as well as Sean Corrali is going to be a UFA, and we talked about that guy. Like that guy is a presence in their bottom six. Oof, like I don't know. Like I feel like you lose Torrey Krug. Then what do you have on the left side? Now we're having the same discussion that we had a couple episodes ago. I guess OEL is like, oh my God, that'd be disgusting.
It has to be simultaneous. If they're like losing Krug, like it's a foregone conclusion he's gone, then like they gotta trigger the trade. They gotta OEL like the same day or the day after.
Unless like there has to be some crazy circumstances where both are on the team, and if they can bring back both guys, I don't necessarily think I obviously Jake DeBrusk is part of that deal. I don't think Zdeno Chara comes back at that point. Like I think he could retire. I'm just pulling up I was gonna say David Krejci might be part of that deal, just I don't know why, but he has a cash of $7 million that Arizona is not going to pay that. Go ahead.
I think it's just the past what's gonna happen with that, where I remember when I'm gonna show my age again, but I remember when Martin Havlat, when he was an all-star, left in the summer of 2009, the Chicago Blackhawks, a team that that already went to the conference finals and lost to the Red Wings and was about to break out the next year and win the cup. The same time, he's like, I'm leaving. I'm going to the Minnesota Wild. After they didn't give him the money, the Chicago didn't give him the money he wanted. And then right away, Marian Hossa signs with the Blackhawks for that illegal, what is now considered an illegal contract.
I love those illegal contracts. Those are just
But yeah, it just
bloody.
reminds me of that. Like
They
I
were a
remember,
bloody big deal.
yeah, I just remember like that was like the off-season drama that year where a guy that I felt was the same way as Torrey Krug, where he fit into that culture, that lineup so well, and suddenly when it's something over dollars, he gets flipped out really quickly. Like he signs to a different team, and they're like, "All right, we quickly get your replacement."
I mean, if the Boston Bruins can do it, the Boston Bruins can do it. I've talked before. I don't know what necessarily the Bruins have that the Coyotes want. Like the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, Jake DeBrusk, a young forward that they can add to their roster, and a first-round pick.
Zachary Sayanshin.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, they have like other.
And another defensive prospect, maybe one of those guys, Ukko Vakanainen, I think.
I'm happy you said. I didn't know how to say his name, so I'm happy you said it.
There's like Jakob Zaboral. I don't know if he's going to be anything.
Two guys I found, like one is a center, one's a defenseman.
Okay.
I think Jack Stadnicka, I know.
Yeah.
He's a Bruins guy though. Like he's a guy that I think he will stick because he just plays their game so well. That big body guy that could also skate. And I'm thinking of Jeremy Lauzon.
That's a good pick.
He's a good guy where, you know, he has the potential to kind of be a regular now, but it's just, you know, at the time they just had too many defensemen.
Right.
So maybe there could be a package there. Not sure.
Well, I guess we'll see when it comes to OEL and the Boston Bruins. The second team that Darren Dreger brought up on Insider Trading. And I got some other tidbits on this team too. The Edmonton Oilers. If there is a team that confuses me more, it's the Edmonton Oilers. We like at least Boston had a couple pieces that they could willingly move and not be impacted. What on earth is Edmonton going to give up?
Right away, the way I see it is they're going to try to measure how they are in terms of a window of what are we going to provide now for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? Are they at the age now that they feel that, hey, we can compete? And I think if they can, the only way they get OEL is if they trade an Evan Bouchard or a Philip Broberg. And I know it's a big ask.
Is it worth it?
It is if it's not the only move they do and they say, hey, we're done, because I really feel that now the pressure's on them. Like I don't see them running it back with the roster they had last year when they think they could really compete with it. Like they lost to the Blackhawks.
They can't run it back. It's just not allowed.
Because what I'm thinking now is in the minors, what they have, like guys that are emerging, but they're not exactly the game breaking, like, you know, names that I expect the Coyotes to kind of want. Like one I just think is Raphael Lavoie. Like he was a guy who was supposed to be in the first round, fell to the second, you know, tore it up in the juniors, made it to real juniors. Love the guy. But then they also like Tyler Benson, who's been a bit of a project lately. Like they still believe in him to be a legitimate top 9 center, but he's a guy that he's had also injury problems in the past.
Yeah, that's true. If I'm Arizona and the idea around trading Darcy Kemper was we're going to recoup some picks, and that idea kind of has seemed to die down at this point, or at least there's no leaks. If OEL is being moved, you have to recoup some picks as well, and Edmonton has the 14th overall pick this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Arizona, and I think you can get someone decent at 14, maybe not NHL ready this year, or maybe not the year after that, probably 2 years from now. It depends. Obviously, it depends on who that guy is. Like, I really think that okay, let me put it this way. Would you move the 14th overall pick? And is that enough for OEL, or is there more to that?
I think if they do, they could do something. Like, I think if they really feel that Broberg and Bouchard are part of that blue line long term, or these guys you want to bring along slowly, if you use that 14th pick, like you could subside the other part of it, like mitigate some part of it. I think, they will still have to give up someone like Raphael Lavoie, I think, in a package with that first round pick. But, I'd rather, if I'm Edmonton, I'd rather do that than give up your top defensive prospects of these guys who are going to be part of the core long term.
Because I think we're having a very different conversation about Edmonton's decor if they don't have to give up Broberg or Bouchard. Because now we're talking, we have Darnell, let's start. OEL, Darnell Nurse, Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, Ethan Bear, and then you have Broberg and Bouchard. Now, I don't necessarily know if I think Bouchard played a few games in the NHL last year. Or I guess no, he didn't. Maybe he was playing. He played the year before. He played 7 games in 18-19 with one. He had 1 point, but then they sent him back to juniors. I don't know. I think we're having a very different conversation with OEL in the Oilers lineup if they don't have to get rid of anyone on the back end of significance.
Yeah.
Now there's a couple other points that I want to get across with Edmonton. Number one, I have here, it says Sportsnet reporting the Oilers defenseman Oscar Klefbom has a chronic shoulder problem that kept him out of parts of the last 2 seasons, and he requires yet another surgical procedure, and it may cost him the entire 2020-2021 season. How big of an impact will that have on the team?
I think that's huge. I think he's the guy who quarterbacks the power play for them. Through the highs and lows of the Connor McDavid era, Oscar Klefbom has been one of the very few cornerstones on that team.
Right.
That he's so important to the team that it's going to be unfortunate to kind of see him maybe lose out on one season, which I think is during his prime. But at the same time, like, it puts that pressure on them, to fix that left side. Because as much as I like Darnell Nurse, like, I don't think he's a guy who's going to be able to anchor everything.
And I guess that's why they're going after OEL.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes it all add up, in my opinion. Now, the second tidbit here I have is from Pierre LeBrun. That the Oilers are interested in Hurricanes goaltender Peter Mrazek.
Why?
As more of a plan B. Says the Oilers are keeping a close eye on Markstrom's negotiations with the Canucks as well.
That could work, that 2 guys there.
But
yeah,
then it comes, is Peter Mrazek the guy you actually are looking for? And I know he's just a plan B, and I think, you know what? I think it's fair that he's your plan B if things go around. I think maybe I think Carolina would be very willing to move him if they make an addition in this offseason. But I don't think that's necessarily the answer for Edmonton. I think they're looking for more of a 1A. And I said it at the beginning of the season, and I said it now. Mikko Koskinen is not a 1A goalie,
No.
and Mike Smith just clearly wasn't good enough as a 1B.
Yeah, the Peter Mrazek one really confuses me. Why they would be kind of expressing that much interest in him this early on.
Yeah.
When what we've said before, what the goalie market looks this year. He's a guy where, no offense to him, it's just like what he's been playing his entire career. But like, he's a guy where you add him to your team after you already established who your number 1 is.
Right. And I guess they don't have a number 1.
Yeah, they're throwing their rumors everywhere just to kind of, I think, throw everyone off.
I don't. It's just they gotta get a goalie that can be a 1A like that can be an honest 1A. But the issue then comes is I don't just necessarily think they can afford it.
No.
Like they have 11 million in cap space. I read today that they might not even qualify Matt Benning because they don't want to go to arbitration. They have to re-sign Bear. They've already said they're not it's right now it seems more likely than not they're also not going to qualify Andreas Athanasiou, who they gave up 2 second-round picks for. Because they don't want to pay the $3 million qualifying offer. So I'm hoping Ken Holland makes some moves, because now the only significant thing you have to do is in terms of free agents, your own free agents, is re-sign Ethan Bear.
Mm-hmm.
But you have 11, so now you have to split this money up. You have Ethan Bear, you need a proper goalie, and you need actual wingers to play with McDavid. Like, other than Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Or James Neal.
Or Zach Kassian. Or Alex Chason. Put someone like an actual guy. Like, I love Tyler Ennis.
Mm-hmm.
No.
We all do. Not really friend of the show.
We don't know.
Hopeful friend of the show.
Maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the guy.
He's not.
Like, sorry. Like, put a proper guy next to Connor McDavid, please. So yeah, like they have Ken Holland has his work cut out for him. I think that's that's been the thing from the start. And I think Mike Green, and unfortunately he didn't come into the bubble, and now he's obviously retired, and you gave up some assets for that. And you, at the end of the day, you couldn't have guessed. You couldn't have imagined that we were going to have a pandemic and be stuck in our houses for a very long period of time, and then him going and retiring. I do kind of blame them on the Andreas Athanasiou pickup and giving up 2 picks. Even if there was no pandemic, realistically, how much was the cap actually going to go up? And I don't know if it has that. If you're already not you don't want to do his qualifying offer, I don't necessarily think that changes much. He has his work cut out for him. I think that's fair to say.
The Oilers are going to be a very interesting team to kind of look at. I think a lot more interesting than what they've been the last few years, aside from McDavid and Draisaitl, because they are looking to really fill in this roster, and it's just so many things have kind of hit them in a certain way that I wanted to see now. Like, how does Ken Holland kind of roll with it? How does he roll with these difficulties going on with the cap, with having to fill up this roster to kind of, make the most of the McDavid Draisaitl years, because these guys are getting older, and as much as they have been putting up the points without the help, they're going to get frustrated eventually. Like we said with Jack Eichel, like he probably does like Buffalo, but he's talked about it before. He hates the losing culture.
Most people do.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another Canadian team here. This is again from Darren Dreger on Insider Trading, talking about the Vancouver Canucks and their forward Jake Virtanen, who's an RFA. He had mentioned that Vancouver wants to keep him, but are intrigued by what they could get for him. He made a comparison saying a player like him would be looking for somewhere, around a 2-year contract, around $3 million per year. I think that's
pretty fair.
That's a pretty fair deal. I believe he had over 20 goals. I think he had 24 goals this year. I'm gonna pull that up for you right now. He had 18 goals and 36 points. I thought I was close. He's a developing player, I think. It doesn't seem like they're happy with Jake Virtanen. It seems like they expected more from Jake Virtanen than they didn't get it. And I could see
too.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I could see that.
Drafted him.
Yeah. Go. Sorry. Go.
No, go on. You said all right.
No,
Yeah, it's like
ahead.
where they drafted him. I think, despite the comments that have been said of him, in Vancouver by, I believe it was Jim Benning.
Yeah.
Jake Virtanen, what I kind of view him as, where he is at his age, where the amount of games he's played, he's a perfect fit with what the Canucks are trying to build. It's just he's not a core guy. You know what I mean? Like, despite where he was drafted, 6th overall in 2014, you add that type of guy to the core you're building with Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. I think if they could get something for him, great. But I think he's someone that you could kind of stick around if he doesn't break the bank on you. And if you could get that 2 years for him, like, yeah, sure, why not? I still like his style of play, power forward that could actually skate. He scores. You know, remember his first few years, everyone was calling him a bust. Well, because he was like, a 19-year-old he put on the 4th line. But, yeah, it's just, I think he's kind of shown what he can be in the NHL. And that's a perfect piece on any team that wants to win. It's just overlook the whole draft status and look at what you could kind of give this guy, because like, you know, he really does like balance out the skill on that team. Like, it's just weird the Canucks have been shopping him like this.
I feel like at that valuation, I don't think that, not that they can't afford it. I think they feel so high on Tyler Toffoli, and they really want to bring back Markstrom, that they're willing to let Virtanen go. And I feel like if they didn't put themselves in the situation of Brent Sutter, of Jay Beagle, of Anton Roussel, of Louis Eriksson, I think I think he is signed. Right? I think it's a no-brainer that this guy's coming back, even at 2 years, $3 million. But I think they've put themselves in a situation where they have very limited cap space, especially moving forward, having to re-sign Pettersson and Hughes. That they've kind of found themselves in a weird situation.
Yeah, isn't it weird the last few weeks we've talked about the Canucks trading guys like Brock Besser, Jake Virtanen?
I don't understand why.
Like, these are guys that, you know, you should be building your core around.
And you know what? You make a good point, and it's been such a talking point from Toronto fans. I haven't read much about it in this way from the media. How about the whole idea of, hey, look at Tampa Bay. They didn't trade a core piece to win, right? Like, yes, they had to get rid of they got rid of who was it? JT Miller. No.
Which one?
Who did they trade to New York? Buchnevich? No. Why can't I remember?
Oh, wait, sorry.
The Rangers.
For Ryan McDonough?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Brett Howden, Libor Hayek, Vladislav Namestnikov, a first-round pick and a second-round pick.
Right, like they were trading their farm, and it ended up winning. Like, they didn't get rid of Cooch. They didn't get rid of Stammer. They didn't get rid of Point. They didn't get rid of Anthony Cirelli. They didn't get rid of Hedman. They didn't get rid of Vasilevsky, right? Like, they kept their core there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what this team needs to do. And if you think about the core in Vancouver, it's Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Quinn Hughes. I mean, I'd argue Markstrom as well. And maybe even...
Oh, Elias Pettersson you didn't mention.
Oh, Elias. Yeah. Yes, of course. I can't believe I forgot that. Elias, now I feel silly. Elias Pettersson as well, right? Like, I think those are guys, like, don't touch them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
This reminded me of, I remember when Jim Benning traded Jared McCann and draft picks for Eric Branson.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Not Jim Rutherford, esque with tinkering, but there's a lot of tinkering going on there.
Don't even get me started. Do you know I had pulled up a tweet. I'm like, we're not going to talk about this today. It was about apparently they were going to put Hornqvist through waivers.
Whoa.
And then the Panthers were going to claim him. It was apparently this isn't the first time this has happened. It goes back to like Anaheim and Columbus making a trade. I'm not sure of the facts, and I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
this is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe this is what we're going through right now. Let's move. Anything else about Vancouver? Sorry.
I hope they realize how lucky they have been with their draft picks lately, including especially the Brock Besser one.
Yeah,
That they don't let that go to waste.
most definitely they should not. Friedman, 31 Thoughts came out today. Friedman in the blog, or more as I like to call it, a book, writes that the word is the Hurricanes were willing to look at an extension, an 8-year, $7.5 million AAV extension for Andrei Svechnikov. He then added that Svechnikov wants to bet on himself to do even better, which I can imagine he will, and he might end up doing a bridge deal for now.
Okay.
If you're Andrei Svechnikov, do you take the bridge deal or do you take the security?
I think I don't know. It reminds me of the Nikita Kucherov situation where he first took a bridge deal before he got this massive extension, and the trajectory that we have of Svechnikov, I think, is at that same level that I can understand where he is right now in his career. I think he bets on himself. Like, I think even if he does, God forbid, gets injured or he misses a few games here and there, it's still a guy that like is still developing. He's still coming into his own. It's something that if he believes that he deserves that, then he deserves it. I think 7.5 over 8 years is not bad, but I think he's going to see how the cap kind of goes or what the Hurricanes are going to do moving forward. But I think all things point to he should take the bridge deal.
Yeah, and I think if he takes that bridge deal, the bridge deal will probably be like 2 or 3 years. Remember, it won't kick in until 21, 22. So by the time that contract ends, I think we're hopefully gonna be in out of this pandemic, and I think there's going to be a better understanding of where the NHL is financially. Maybe we'll even be out of the flat cap era and back to the cap increasing. And I think for a lot of players, it's going to be better to maybe take that bridge deal. It reminds me, you know what it reminds me of the situation of McKinnon and the Avalanche. My understanding is that the Avalanche had a short-term and a long-term deal. And instead of betting on himself, he took the long-term deal. And I think it would have been his contract year that he blossomed. And imagine the money he could have made. But it's okay. He's going to take another discount. So it's
Loyalty guy, yeah.
It's not a big deal. Anything else on Svechnikov before we move on?
Yeah, he's an interesting player to like keep watching. That, yeah, he's really, as he's developed, so have the Hurricanes everywhere else.
Right.
That's another team where I'm like, don't tinker too much with the core, and just keep doing your thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with
Except
that.
goaltending.
Yeah, get a goaltender. They're practically they could be in the conference finals next year. Sorry. I got some info from the best man in Minnesota, Michael Russo, right now. Apparently the Wild are shopping Ryan Donato. There's one team that has shown interest in him. That is the San Jose Sharks. And they have also called about Devin Dubnyk.
So 2 things I kind of feel with that. Number one, but I already know the answer to it, is why would you want to get rid of someone like Ryan Donato? I think
is the no? But yeah. You say you know the answer. I don't know. Is he not a center, and do they not need centers?
It's that thing where it's just like, okay, are we gonna? It's another body to kind of protect at the expansion draft. But the thing is, he's a young guy. Where it's just you gave up Charlie Coyle, which I think Minnesota is gonna end up winning that trade, not now, but a lot later, because Donato's age and his upside.
Not if they trade him.
Yeah, not if they trade him, but I think right now, like, this Charlie Coyle has just fit in with the Bruins system so well that I think the edge kind of goes to Boston right now, but I think Donato is someone that could really develop into something special. And again, it's like what we've talked about before. It's like it's someone the Wild need to kind of balance out those veteran contracts.
Like Donato's going to be an RFA with arbitration rights at the end of next season. Is that why you're trading him now? Like, are you not comfortable going to arbitration? I just don't see the value of trading someone like this.
I don't either. Well, remember what we've talked about before, and we've said it so many times. We don't know what the Minnesota Wild are building.
Well, now the name of this prospect, and it's going to get on my nerves that I don't know his name, the one that's coming overseas.
Oh, Kirill Kaprizov?
Yeah, Kaprizov. Like, I believe the whole idea was that he's coming next season.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, like you opened up a spot for him, right? Koivu and Stahl, gone. Is he not already in your lineup? Like you already said, Alex Galchenyuk is not coming back. Spot.
Mm-hmm.
This just seems to not make sense because he's a young guy. Ryan Donato is 24 years old. Yeah. Unless you're just trying to get assets for him because you're not happy with him. Okay, fine.
But he's performed.
I thought he had a good season.
And keep in mind too, he was a university boy, right? He was an NCAA guy. Like it's not like he's so far into his development, or they've showed enough of him in the NHL to say, okay, we already know what we have out of him. No, like he's still considered I still think he's considered a prospect.
Well, maybe he's he's inching out of there.
He is inching out of there, yeah.
I'm more interested in why the San Jose Sharks perspective from this. Bringing in Ryan Donato and inquiring about Devin Dubnyk. And this isn't the first piece of news over the last couple of days that we've heard about this team. It's also been mentioned that they've called Bobby Ryan. That would be nice. But what are you sending back?
Maybe we didn't see this way. Maybe Ryan Donato's the sweetener for the Sharks to take on Devin Dubnyk.
No way.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, come on. That's okay. Oh, that would be very. I don't know if I'd be like I think that's not who you use as a sweetener. Like I get Devin Dubnyk wasn't good, but like he was that bad. Like he couldn't have been that bad because Montreal called about him as a backup, and we know that Montreal was looking for a competent backup goalie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if that was the case, I think that would be an awful look. I would never get over that trade.
That would be a new one for my predictions. Like that would set the standard. I got this one right.
If he was a sweetener,
yeah,
get out of here. Oh my God. It's just for me, I'm more interested in what are you trading to get Ryan Donato?
Ryan Merkley. I don't know.
No. I don't understand why no one likes Ryan Merkley.
Oh yeah, I remember when we went to.
Is it his attitude issues?
Apparently, yeah. That's what Elliot, friend of the show, and Jeff, friend of the show, told us in 31 Thoughts when we went.
That's true. They did bring that up. The guy had 76 points this year.
I know. Compared him to Josh Hosang, I remember those comparisons. 76
points. And yes, he was with London, but he had 67 points in 17-18. He had, I'm trying to do the math, he had 71 points in 18-19. Like, what else do you want? I didn't know. Oh, he paid for Peterborough? Oh. Man, I love to go see Peterborough. But now they don't have Nick Robertson, so I don't care.
Yeah, no, okay.
No, it's okay. I do like.
We'll go when they retire his jersey.
Yeah, that might be a while. Anything like that's just this idea that you've put in my head of them being a sweetener just doesn't isn't sitting well with me,
I don't
Daniel.
know.
I'm gonna
You
be
never know.
honest.
We'll see. You know, a lot can happen in a week before the draft. Or at the draft. We don't know.
Oh my god.
There's going to be a lot of Bob bombs, I think, at the draft.
Pop bumps. I'm so excited for the draft. I don't know about you.
I'm pretty excited.
I think there's going to be some massive things happening.
A lot of what I love just seeing is looking at all these draft boards and then everything get mixed up.
And seeing Yaroslav Askarov drop to 15.
No, maybe.
Oh yeah. Daniel's going to be so excited.
I'm going to be so excited. Buy the jersey.
Okay, you'll buy a Askarov jersey, and if Bogosian signs with the Leafs, I'm buying a Zach Bogosian jersey. The two more things.
Luke Shen signs with the Leafs.
Stop it.
Do I try to find an old one or get a new one?
No, you gotta find an old one.
Yeah. You know, okay, this is a fun fact. I hope Adam hears this, but when
Definitely will.
I was in first year, 35 years ago at U of T, I remember I had a guy who was working at Real Sports, like, hey, do you want a Luke Shen jersey? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, oh, just wait though, because they might get, I don't know. No, I was in high school. Sorry. He's like, just wait because he might get the C. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'll just wait. I won't get the A. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'll wait for that one.
See him and what were his sources? Come on.
I don't know. I remember because no, I was not in high school. I was in elementary school. Sorry, I keep getting my schools confused. I've been in too many schools.
Go.
Yeah, he's just kind of waiting, where he's like, yeah, just wait for it. This was like 2011, I believe, where he said, yeah, just wait for it because they were still so high on him. He had 22 points on a really bad Leafs team. All right.
I walked pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, I walked into a Sport Check. I saw on the clearance rack a Dion Phaneuf Maple Leafs jersey and a Phil Kessel. You wish I bought it. I'd buy it. I'd put it. You know what? If I ever see it, I might buy it and hang it up here.
Why not?
I don't know. I still have to hang up this Matthews poster. It is an absolute nightmare.
Okay. My background too, where I hope everyone's going to look later on, is it's going to get fixed up because I want to hang up some stuff too.
I got it. Speaking of backgrounds, if you aren't watching on YouTube, you should most definitely be watching on YouTube. Okay, I'm just gonna point that out there. We're almost done the episode here. We got 2 more tidbits to go.
We just keep thinking of Luke Shen too fondly. I think it keeps delaying us.
Yeah. So it's official. The Flyers have made Shane Gostisbehere available for trade.
Mm-hmm.
So
the Ghost Bear.
Apparently, he's been linked to. Obviously, clearly, we've all talked about it. The rumors, they've linked to them in the past. This is really the first time the Flyers have shown a serious willingness to move him if they get the right offer. Now, Daniel, what is the right offer? Because I feel like this season was very poor for him.
B prospect and a late second, early third.
So why will Jim Rutherford pay a first-round pick for Shane Gostisbehere? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they need the defenseman. They need the depth that these guys that have clearly kind of shown that they don't defend too well, had their struggles, but he's still gonna sell high for these guys.
I think that's gonna be the preview. Honestly, I think that's just a perfect preview. Even though I feel bad not having one with Adam, and I think I should have it. I'll probably change my mind. I just think that's the perfect preview. Go ahead.
I don't know. It's unfortunate. It's the same thing too. Like a guy who performs so well, and then he was a guy where I kind of felt that, he's going to be part of that Flyers core going forward, and it's just, he's been passed over by like so many prospects. He's been really inconsistent, and it's just not showing anymore that promise I kind of had for him.
It just seems like, especially this year, that Alain Vigneault and Shane Gostisbehere just isn't working.
No.
And, they have Ivan Provorov. They have Travis Sanheim. maybe they just don't really need Shane Gostisbehere, especially at $4.5 million for the next 3 years. I think there's teams out there who will make inquiries, and I think, they want to shed cap. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and JVR was the big name that was on the list. That's like practically feels like an impossible deal to move. It'll be interesting to see what they can get for him, because I think his value has decreased so much.
Shane Gostisbehere for Andreas Janssen. I'm kidding.
I don't know if I want that, if I'm being honest.
Sell low on both guys.
Well, it's so funny that how we talk about Gostisbehere now, because I remember back in October, Adam and I were talking about the Canadians and them needing a left-handed defenseman, and this seemed like the perfect guy to go out and get.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Not anymore.
Not so much anymore.
Wish him the best.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
In whichever market he ends up being in. Last thing before we end the episode here. I put this in the document. I didn't necessarily think it was like big breaking news, but I do think it's an important thing. It's a quote from Lou Lamoriello that he said. He did an article with he talked to Arthur Staple of The Athletic. I just want to pull out a couple quotes that I read here. I don't want to read the entire thing because I think you should go pay for The Athletic. So Lou goes, right now we're focused on how we can keep our team together, right? Obviously Barzal is the big free agent of RFA, as well as Ryan Pulock. And, they signed some big deals, right? With Jean-Gabriel Pageau, they got Anders Lee, Josh Bailey, etc. Now, this is the other quote. This is the quote that really stood out to me, and I think it'll stand out to you as well. Lamoriello added that he felt there would be, quote unquote, a lot more players available than people think this offseason. And then he goes, so that could allow his team to scoop up a good veteran on the cheap before next season's unknown start. What does Lou Lamoriello know that we don't?
I don't know. We always think, hey, we know Lou Lamoriello. From I always thought he was a nice guy when I was a kid, when I watched the Devils, because they always talked about, this is our family, everyone takes a discount on their contract kind of thing. And we could kind of see, like, he's a hard-nosed guy. He's a guy that, he's a tough negotiator that I think he's had to adapt his way, but it's at the same time too, that tradition is still there, that he just knows the market so well. He knows the other GM so well that he is someone that I think that, I don't know, what he kind of knows is he's gonna tap into what these longtime guys, and I think, not just the Johnny Boychuk of the team, but I think he's gonna be able to kind of move someone of significance to kind of reshape this team, because I think he's dedicated to someone like Pageau, but I don't think he's necessarily feels the same way that Garth Snow did of a Josh Bailey or a Brock Nelson. Yeah,
so let me just say what their salary cap situation is. They have $8.9 million in cap space. Let's just assume Thomas Greiss is all but gone. They brought in Ilya Sorokin. Ryan Pulock, an RFA. Devin Tays, RFA, both of them with arbitration rights. And Matt Barzal is an RFA.
Yeah.
How are they going to get this done?
Try to carve out some money.
They're going to have to trade someone. And I think they will. Here's the thing with Lou, and I think the thing that got me that I thought was the funniest part is that he knows he's going to sign someone for cheaper. He can trade Josh Bailey, or he can trade a third line guy like the Clutterbuck, like the Cizikas, like the Leo Komarov, and bring in a cheaper guy. We don't know if he's going to hit free agency. Pat Maroon is potentially going to be a free agent. I'd love that guy on my team. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah. He's not going to the Leafs.
I wish.
Replace Kyle Clifford.
Well, let's see. Listen, let's see what Pat Maroon's asking for. I think he's going to ask for a little bit of a raise after 900,000 and back to back. So. Listen, I'm not putting this out there as a conspiracy theory or anything. If you saw his Instagram story, he had Drake back to back. Let's put that backwards. Drake is from Toronto.
Pat Maroon is Toronto confirmed.
Therefore, Patrick Maroon is signing in Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He's signing for a discounted contract with a promise of being sponsored by OVO.
Imagine he comes to Toronto. He goes, just because you played back to back in your Instagram story, OVO sponsorship.
Everyone comes off the bus with their suit, and he has like the OVO jumpsuit on.
Just thinking of Pat Maroon doing that, like he seems like the guy who would not do that. That's what makes it funny, though, right? That's what makes it funny. Anything else about the Islanders? I'm just gonna hop on Twitter here and make sure that nothing has broke since.
Like I don't like the Islanders, but the thing is, I have liked before, and I really respect Lou Lamoriello. So for me to talk about this is just a weird scenario.
Because he's going to do some shady things. Is that what you're saying?
He's going to get away with something. Not a bad thing, but he's going to maneuver his way out of this. Like, if I'm going to dig deep even more, I remember he was pretty aggressive during those Devils days where he was aggressive on Patrick Eliash, on Brian Giunta, on these guys on Scott Gomez, these guys that are threatened to leave, but then he's like, hey, fine, leave. And then things didn't work out. He's like, all right, you come back to the team. Or every time there was a big time free agent in New Jersey, Brian Rafalski, Scott Niedermayer, he didn't bring any of them back, but he still was able to field a competitive team.
I know that's the worst part, is that they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like the most, is I know they're going to figure it out. And I love some absolute chaos.
Yeah.
But last thing, I just saw it on Twitter. There's a parade. There's a parade for the Cup final.
Oh, no.
Apparently it's going to be on. They're going to be on the boat or whatever, so it's not going to be on the bus. It's going to be a waterfront parade. I mean, it's Florida. I'm assuming you saw the videos on Twitter of the packed in front of the stadium, so we're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Okay, that's fine. I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. And I have it here. Yeah. I actually just retweeted this video, and let's see if I can share my screen properly here quickly before we go. This video, it's definitely messed up. Let's see if I can get this. Do you see my screen?
I see your screen.
Do you see what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the cup? And do you see they're pouring liquid into everyone's mouths from the cup?
It. And if you want to see what we're seeing, please check the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so apparently coronavirus doesn't exist. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes I feel like we're just never gonna get out.
Yeah, Tampa, you had it going. The Lightning, they had it going. Don't do this.
Okay, imagine this. I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember who said it, and I feel bad for stealing it, but I'm just gonna give credit to imaginary person. The Tampa Bay Lightning win the cup. The Tampa Bay Rays win the World Series, and the Buccaneers are their NFL team, wins the Super Bowl.
The wound's kind of fresh right
now.
Fresh right now, with the whole Rays kind of thing.
No, but just imagine 3 parades
in Florida.
The
epicenter of this pandemic.
Yeah. It's okay. Casinos are open here, so that's all good.
Okay, yeah, Well, why not?
Damn it. That is
kidding.
A good thing. That is a good. Obviously we're not happy about that either.
No, we're disappointed.
But I think that was a very good way of putting it. I do have breaking news though.
Okay.
I saw it earlier, but nothing was confirmed. The QMJHL is now going to be handing out 15-minute penalties for fighting.
Wow.
I think that's especially in the juniors, like there's no need for
Then
fighting.
how are the
in my
enforcers
opinion.
going to learn their way through the league now?
Those guys don't exist.
No.
It's just Tom Wilson.
It's a myth, like the Jedi during the Galactic Empire.
That, you know what? Now we've gone too far.
Okay.
I think we know that we've been recording for too long when we get that type of reference going.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else written down. Nothing other than that was trending on Twitter. Do you have anything else?
I'll do the outro, but before I go, one more thing. Congrats to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. You guys really built an excellent team. And yeah, all I have to say for that is that they deserved it. They went through so much adversity in the last year and a bit that they were able to add. You know, I was very, very doubtful of the Barclay Goodrow and the Blake Coleman trades, like the amount of assets they were kind of giving up. But at the same time, too, they're still so deep. This is a team that I will be disappointed if they do not have a Chicago Blackhawks type of run.
I think they can do it.
I think so, too.
You know what the scariest part of all this is?
What is
we
it?
We don't know when hockey's coming back.
That's true. Are we going to start going back to movie reviews?
No.
Okay.
No. There's going to be free agency. The draft's coming. We'll be
okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
If not, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's what we did during the pandemic. That's what we'll do during the second wave.
We will adapt.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We can and we will.
We can and we will. Kyle Dubas. Mm-hmm. Michael Scott.
All right, listeners. This has been fun. Yeah. The return, subtle return of Adam. You know, he was called up for the 2 minutes, 47 seconds, but that's okay because he still gave us an amazing contribution to this episode. Please check us out on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube. You should definitely check out the YouTube channel to see our excellent faces, our beautiful faces. Put a voice to the face. You know what I'm talking about? And thank you to Voice Ed for providing us with a platform for this. We're always grateful. If you liked anything, didn't like anything, please leave us a review. And whether you liked it or not, please let us know why. We will try to answer it. We will try to incorporate things into the show. We are always listening to what you guys have to say. But until next time, thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have a good night, guys.